Welcome to my world, where every story unfolds.
What if I told you that in the span of a single week, a series of massive, devastating fires that crippled the nation's economy weren't just a tragic coincidence? Well, the source material we're digging into today lays out a pretty chilling theory that this was no accident. It was a calculated, coordinated attack. So let's take a closer look.
Right, so the main idea we're exploring here is that these fires weren't random at all. There's a disturbing pattern. Each disaster, whether it's a garment factory or the country's biggest airport, seems to strike a critical nerve in the economy. The losses are just staggering, and it really makes you wonder, could this all be by design?
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at the timeline. According to our sources, it's the sheer speed, the rapid succession of these events that first set off alarm bells for a lot of people.
I mean, just look at this. It's relentless. October 15th, boom, a garment and chemical warehouse fire. Just 2 days later, another one hits the Chittagong EPZ, which is a major hub for foreign investment. The very next day, a huge fire breaks out at the main international airport's cargo village. And on that exact same day, a ship full of exports sinks. And as if that's not enough, the day after that, a major pharmaceutical factory burns. Any one of these is a national disaster, but all of them together, back to back, it starts to feel like a country under siege.
And this brings us right to the core of the theory from our source material. The idea is that this wasn't just about burning things down. Nope. This was a targeted attack on the country's biggest weakness, its foreign currency reserves.
The theory basically says the real goal was to spark a massive economic crisis. See, for a country like Bangladesh, foreign currency is everything. It's the lifeline you use to pay for essential imports. We're talking fuel, food, medicine. So by systematically taking out things that earned that currency, like exports, and things that were bought with that currency, like imported materials, well, it's like attacking a country's bank account from both sides at once.
And to give you a sense of the scale here, let's just talk money. A crore is 10 million. The source estimates that the airport fire alone wiped out goods worth somewhere between 10 to 15,000 crore taka. That's well over $1 billion US. Gone in a single incident. That is an absolutely astronomical hit to the economy.
Yeah, and this slide really lays out the alleged strategy perfectly. It wasn't just random, it was surgical. You hit the garment industry and you choke the country's #1 export. You hit an EPZ and you spook foreign investors. The airport fire was a double whammy, destroying imported materials the country already paid dollars for, plus critical parts for a new nuclear power plant. Then you hit a major pharmaceutical exporter. You see the pattern, right? Each fire seems chosen for maximum economic damage.
Now, of all these incidents, the source material really zooms in on the airport fire. This is the one they point to as a potential smoking gun, because the details surrounding it just don't seem to add up with the official story of it being a simple accident.
So get this, just 1 week, 7 days before this catastrophic fire, Shah Jalal International Airport was actually being celebrated for its amazing security. It had just passed a huge international milestone, one that was supposed to make it one of the safest cargo hubs in the region.
And we're not talking about a B+ here. We're talking a perfect score, 100 out of 100. This was a massive deal for the economy. It lifted a ban from 2016, opening up direct cargo flights to the UK and Europe again. On paper, the airport had never, ever been safer.
And there it is.
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? If you have a world-class facility with a perfect security rating, how on earth does a fire of this size not only start, but just burn completely out of control? This is the fundamental contradiction that fuels this whole conspiracy theory.
Well, according to eyewitnesses that the source cites, it was just a total cascade of failures. First, the closest and most direct access gate for firefighters, Gate 8, was locked shut. Then, when outside fire crews finally got there, they were supposedly held back for 30 to 40 minutes just waiting for permission to go in. And to top it all off, the airport's own fancy, state-of-the-art fire suppression systems? Yeah, they apparently didn't even work. It's a series of events that screams either unbelievable incompetence or something else entirely.
So, okay, if you follow this line of thinking, that this was all intentional, you have to ask the next logical question. Who benefits? Who gains from throwing an entire country into this much chaos? Our source material explores a couple of political theories here.
So, the sources lay out 2 main political angles, and I want to be really clear, these are the theories presented in the material. One theory suggests the ruling party could create a national crisis as a reason to postpone elections and hold on to power. Another theory points the finger at the opposition, suggesting they'd create chaos to make the government look completely inept. And there's even a third variation that suggests a faction of the opposition might have teamed up with disgruntled government insiders to destabilize things for their own reasons.
You can imagine, all of this leaves the public in this state of intense fear and suspicion. It's just fueled by all of these critical questions that, according to the source, still don't have good answers.
And these are the questions that just hang in the air, you know? Why was the closest fire gate locked? Why were firefighters held back for that critical half hour? How does a brand new top-rated safety system just fail? The source even mentions that civilians who tried to help rescue goods were stopped. It all boils down to that one huge question. Was this just an unbelievable string of bad luck and incompetence, or was it a masterfully planned conspiracy?
And that really leaves us with one last, pretty sobering thought from the heart of this whole thing. When the very foundations of your country seem to be on fire, whether it's by accident or by design, who exactly are you supposed to trust to put it out? And, well, that's a question that has no easy answer.